and that is the notorious Washington Hilton behind me, a building I know quite well from my prior days because I was Associate Attorney General when the last attempted assassination took place there against Ronald Reagan. And I secured the custody of Hinckley, his arraignment, oversaw the proceedings against him, and also did a report on the security that needed to be improved with regard to President Reagan as a result of that shooting. So it has strange memories to me. I lived in Washington, for quite some time after that, and of course, went back there and spent a great deal of time there when I was President Trump's lawyer. Passed that hotel many times, went to events in that hotel many times never ever without thinking of God's graciousness in allowing President Trump to live, President Reagan to live, and again, President Trump. Yesterday in the Mass for Sunday after Easter, very, very appropriately, they read the most famous of the Psalms of David, a favorite for Jews and for Christians of all kinds, Catholics, Protestant. Don't know about Muslims if they accept the Psalms. I'm not sure. I'll have to look that up. I know quite a bit about the Muslim religion. I don't know that. But you'll remember the second. This is the second stanza of the beautiful Song of David, which begins, "The Lord is my shepherd; I shall not want." But this is the second stanza, and tell me this doesn't apply to our great president. Even though I walk through the valley of death, I fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. That has to apply to Donald Trump. If Cole had decided to bring a bomb with him, or if he had been a really skilled terrorist, an Iranian ISIS or whatever, and gotten himself in there and gotten that close, he could have blown that whole building in half. Or he could have done it from his room, where he got in without any security. It is, to me, and we'll see how Pat feels about it, because we have Pat coming on. I really want him to give us his independent opinion of this. I find the fact that there was no security until you got to the actual entrance to the ballroom. I don't know who made that decision. And I get nervous when I hear the Attorney General say everything was done right. I hope that's just a political not wanting to make the agents feel bad. But I had pretty good morale in the police department that I ran and the FBI, and I never lied to them, But okay, so we have with us Pat Brosnan, who's a legendary New York City police detective with so many awards, you can't count them. And he's also been, for quite some time now, running a major international security firm. So if you want to know about security, talk to Pat. Well, Pat, give me your view on this. I know, it's all pretty transparent. We all get to see it. What do you think?
So first of all, good evening. Good evening, Mayor.
Good to see you. You look great.
Thank you. You as well. And I hope all is well. And thank you for inviting me. So delighted. Just to start off, I have no idea what incident they're talking about when the Attorney General and others reference this as being some manner of success. This was not a random lapse. This was, in my view, a catastrophic collapse of communication, coordination, and planning. The Secret Service abandoned every layer of basic protective doctrine, just a rule book. They turned a high-threat presidential event into a nightmare. I have kind of pushed them together into 7 deadly operational sins, which I believe were rooted in negligence and incompetence. And let's start with the very first one. The very first one is they decided to protect only the ballroom and ignored the hotel, which is precisely what you just said. The protection began at the entrance to the International Ballroom. Really? What about the 250 feet west to Connecticut Avenue, where people were pouring in? So that was the linchpin. Protect the ballroom, ignore the hotel. The fact, Mayor, that they failed to run background checks on the guests under the same roof as the commander-in-chief is inexcusable.
Yeah.
Inexcusable. And talk about checking the 3 boxes. The shooter traveled 3,000 miles almost from Los Angeles, solo, booked the room April 6th, took possession on the 24th at 3 p.m. Those first 2 are blazing red flags. You're traveling solo. This is absolutely rudimentary textbook stuff. You travel a great distance. You book it a couple weeks out, and then you come in the day before the boss comes in. Flags, clues, stuff Stevie Wonder would pick up on. Let's be very honest. I mean, let's call it like it is. I mean, listen,
no, we have to.
No one loves law enforcement more than me and you.
I've had it with this. Yeah.
Right.
They're going to get them killed if they don't stop it.
This is the 4th one. The fourth. And they ignored those glaring red flags. And that to me is inexcusable. And to be honest, indefensible. This is standard stuff. But they didn't even post, and this is what you referenced earlier when you opened up, even one armed officer at the stairway door, because this guy came down 10 flights. He came down the stairs. He came down the escalator.
Down?
He bolted down 10 flights of stairs and came out a simple door that opened up into the lobby and put him directly on a running path into the magnetometer area. How do you not post someone there, Mayor? How do you not post someone there? And how do you not post a couple of plainclothes guys, armed plainclothes guys, in that massive lobby? You know what they do? They're watching, they're looking, they're assessing, looking for suspicious behavior. What kind of suspicious behavior? Well, 39-inch shotguns like the Mossberg Maverick. I happen to own that gun. I measured it earlier. I honestly went, I took it out, I measured. It's 39 inches. You stick that in a bag, you have an outline of a shotgun. Never mind the knives and the 38 semi-automatic. So
but he came down the stairwell.
Yeah, he came down.
And they had nobody in the stairwells.
Nobody in the stairwell.
I mean, that's just kind of like it's a rule book. Of course, you cover the stairwells.
There's a labor classification that characterizes that. It's called a vertical patrol.
Yeah.
You do a vertical patrol.
Thank you.
Make sure right. There's an entire post in police departments and in security businesses.
For us non-law enforcement people, can you explain what you mean by a vertical patrol?
In the stairway, vertical,
sure.
Up and down, up and down, up and down. Because that's the way.
Basement
isn't that the way a
to
Kimmel would
rooftop.
come in? Rather, he's not going to come on the elevator.
Right.
Likely.
Right. So we hope not with 40 inches of weapons and clinking with all the knives, but you're exactly right. It's basement to rooftop, making sure that there's no.
Pat, how big were these weapons that he was carrying? How obvious would they be or not?
Enormously obvious. I own one of them. I happen to own the Mossberg, the shotgun. I have it here at the house. I measured it before. It's 40 inches. 40. Yes, 3.5 feet. 3.5 feet of shotgun. Think about what size.
You can't break it down.
Yeah, this isn't a snub-nosed detective special that you can stick into your pocket and nobody's the wiser. This is a massive weapon with extended stocks, all kinds of stuff that he had on it, which I recognize because I have the same. He
also had an automatic.
Yeah.
Do we know what he used to shoot the agent who had a vest on?
We don't know. It hasn't been reported publicly yet. And to be frank, we don't know who shot the agent.
Gun.
Yeah.
It could be a friendly fire, right?
Could easily be in that congested area. But I mean, you nailed it, Mayor. The reality is, there's two operative verbs when it comes to dealing with crowds like that. Well, one is choke and one is funnel.
Wait a
right?
second.
You choke and you funnel them into the, I mean, that's how it works. That's SOP, standard operating procedure. Instead, from all the ear and eyewitness accounts that I've read, this is how they waved in like this. Hey, I got to pass. Yeah, I'm paparazzi. I got to pay. Yeah, go ahead. No confirm on positive identification. No reconciliation that pass holder is the person in front of them. I mean, it's just a complete collapse. It's a complete, now, once he bolted through the magnetometer, it was textbook. It was textbook. They pursued him. They
Yeah,
tackled
it's
him. They stripped him
amazing. That
down.
was,
Yeah, did a
that
good
was
job
done
then.
pretty much as well as you could do it.
Exactly right. And why he's still breathing and how he's still breathing remains a great mystery, but he is. Somehow he got really lucky. Once in a while, you get real lucky, and the
Right.
police don't hit you with the bullets, you know? But the reality is, it never should have devolved to that.
What troubles me is a real professional would look at this and say, man, we could have done this with a bomb.
Correct.
If I could get that close with an incendiary device or two, I'd take the whole building down. Or how about I take the whole building down from the room they gave me?
When the bad guy ridicules the efficiency of the security apparatus, that is when we reach a new level. I mean, that's a new level of insult when he's being sarcastic and demeaning about how their security was absolutely horrific. And sadly, it was. It really was. These are rudimentary steps. These were simple check the boxes. I don't understand it. You know, Mayor, I've had the, I guess, somewhat unlucky in some ways to have been physically present at all 4 locations. I went out to Butler on a motorcycle early August of 24. I walked the international, the Trump International. I was right nearby. I was in Palm Beach. As a member of Mar-a-Lago, I went out the North Gate 100 times,
Yep.
right? And then, of course, like yourself, I've been in the Hilton a number of times for meetings and dinners. So I've seen the terrain. I've seen the landscape. I've seen Building 6. I've seen the bushes where Wesley Ryan Routh hid for 12 hours. And I had the president of the largest security company in the history of the human race on my show this morning. A tremendously informing guy named Glenn Kucera.
Mm-hmm.
I said, Glenn, how quickly would one of your 3,000 canines, they have 3,000, 2,000 in Europe, 1,000 in America. He said, within minutes, Pat, within minutes, we would have identified Wayne Leslie Ruth in the bushes where he was laying in wait on the golf course, within minutes. I said, how quickly would your counter drone technology have identified Thomas Matthew Crooks on the Building 6 on the rooftop? Minutes. The technology's here. The technology, the means are here. I don't understand. I think, honestly, Mayor, the time is at hand to maybe throw out the playbook. Throw it out and let a whole new, fresh set of eyes look at it.
Yeah, absolutely. Otherwise, I worry about my friend. You know, beyond the fact that he's a great president, I worry about my country too. He can't be replaced. He can't. Right now, he's in the middle of changing our world.
Correct.
For the good.
For the good. Exactly right.
And this guy who lays it out in this manifesto, which I think is an excuse for an insanity defense. This is a very carefully written piece of shit.
Yeah.
And you know the one thing he does? He announces himself as a puppet of the people who say that Trump was a traitor. He wasn't a traitor, a pedophile. Give me a break.
Give me a break.
You know, these are all the things that group of lying Democrats have been selling for 5 years to try to get him out of office.
Correct.
So he is executing on their agenda.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's directed or it's just by brainwashing, but it doesn't matter really.
Well, it doesn't matter, but it's one of the two. And the brainwashing, listen, we've had these discussions, you and me. The reality is, you know, rhetoric and divisive venom, poisonous vitriol, it impacts, it influences, it indoctrinates, and it metastasizes in their, you know, kind of crazy heads to begin with.
100%.
Right. You know, and then they go operational. It's horrific. It's horrific. I worry every day about them.
I'd love to get you and a couple of other top people just to look at the whole thing like we did after the Reagan attempt. Mrs. Reagan required a complete analysis, and they didn't make anywhere near the number of mistakes. I mean, when I look back on the Reagan shooting, the biggest mistake was the cops were looking at Reagan and not the crowd.
Right. Okay.
They saw their Capitol Police, not at that time, not one of the more sophisticated police departments, probably a lot better now. But Reagan's coming and they're, oh, here's President Reagan. And all of a sudden, Hinckley comes in the middle of them and starts shooting Brady and him. And if you look at the tape, it's like, oh my God, they weren't turned around. And the Secret Service took a hit because then the Capitol Police said, well, they never trained us to do that. Well, you should know it anyway, but they never trained us to do that. So they got trained to do that. That was the big mistake. Everything else was done right. These things are like impossible to understand, and somebody's got to take over that takes it seriously. But thank you, Pat. Thank you for your analysis. It really was very professional.
Thank you, Mayor. And I would love to join your show. And I could ask Glenn, who's the president of the largest
I would like to get him on
world,
with you
to join. Glenn Kuchera, a great friend of mine. And it begs for close analysis.
Yeah, I would love to have both of you on if we could do that in the next couple of days. All right.
I will connect with Ted.
All right, let him know.
I absolutely will. And all I can say is keep up the great work. And I hope to see you soon.
Yeah,
you're the best.
I've been wanting Pat on for quite some time. So
doesn't he look great?
He looks great. We got to get him in person in studio. Thank you. Oh, sorry, cut him off a little early.
That's what we.
Thanks, Pat.
That's what we call a cop's cop.
Right. And he certainly knows.
So let's take a break now, and then we'll be back, and we'll cover the rest of this, and then take a look at where the war is, and also what these Democrats have been saying that led to this. Because this Cole guy did the act, but there are a lot of people behind him. A lot of guys pulling the strings. Okay, we'll be right back. U.S. Army Major Scott Smiley paid a high price serving our nation. Scott was leading his platoon in Iraq when a blast sent shrapnel through his eyes, leaving him blind and temporarily paralyzed. Scott would become the first blind active duty military officer before medically retiring years later. Thanks to friends like you, the Tunnel to Towers Foundation gave Scott and his family a mortgage-free, specially adapted smart home. Show your support for America's heroes now. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers at T2T.org.
Are you ready for some action?
I'm ready for action.
Get the Elite TV plan only through the portal. 218 channels, and it's only $69.95 a month,
Wow.
including your free portal.
That's cheaper than everyone else.
Your favorite sports, movies, news,
Wow.
even daytime dramas. We're talking about ESPN, OAN, Newsmax,
Wow.
channels you can't get anymore in certain areas.
Compared to the competition, this is a way better deal.
Endless selection. Not to mention all the free music channels. There's over 700 premium and classic movies all ready to go.
Wow.
Plus, they got catch-up TV that allows you to go back and watch what you've missed or want to watch again. Cut your cable in half and get twice as much for free.
Way more channels for half the cost.
After the first year, the subscription then drops to $57.95 monthly,
Wow.
where you change or upgrade anytime. Go to QUXNow.com and get yours today. Use promo code RUDY. Act fast. These deals are selling out.
Here we are, pretty much at the beginning of the process here at this pristine, I call it a laboratory. It's not like a factory, it's like a hospital. This is the beginning of the process for roasting. Deep grain, very good quality. Most people don't use this quality. We deal with small farmers because we like to know who we're dealing with. They give us the highest quality, all organic, non-GMO. You should know all Arabica beans, no Robusto, all Arabica. They're gonna go into the roaster and it'll get roasted for about 20 minutes or so.
Oh my goodness, look at these. My goodness. You're going to want to specially order these. This is what goes into Rudy's coffee.
This is Rudy Giuliani back with you on America's Mayor Live. Live from Palm Beach, and that, of course, is the Washington Hilton Hotel in which they shot and almost killed Ronald Reagan 45 years ago outside. And they attempted to take out Donald Trump and much of his cabinet on Saturday night, at least according to the manifesto of the attempted assassin. Now, as Pat Brosnan, I think, very succinctly demonstrated, and I'm not going to belabor this, except to point out, and I will do this until it happens, that there has to be a complete, absolute independent review without worrying about who's going to get upset and who's going to get angry and who's going to get insulted and about what went wrong here. Because Todd Blanche, who's a fine guy, and I like Todd very, very much, but to say the system worked, we stopped the suspect. Yeah, on the 1 yard line. And if the suspect had been just a teeny bit more experienced, he'd have blown you all to kingdom come, because you made it very easy for him to do that. I mean, I'm not giving away anything that isn't obvious to terrorists who look at this. But they look at this and they see so many opportunities. It's astounding. And I think it really is incumbent upon all of you that protect the president to let them know that things are going to be different, that they're not going to, when they show up, they're not going to walk into this. But I don't know if this is a posture that's being taken not to offend feelings, but somebody should be saying this was all screwed up and it's not going to happen like this again. Like, and it would tend at least to put some doubts in the minds of people who spend all their time trying to figure out how to kill this man. This president is certainly the most hunted president in our lifetime and maybe in our history. And the major motive to get him comes from the wicked, evil Democrat Party. Every word in that manifesto has been placed in the lexicon by Democrats over and over and over again in the way that dictatorial powers brainwash, pedophile, rapist, traitor. These are the reasons why Alan Cole, or whatever the hell his name was, came all the way by train from California to assassinate him and as many of his administration as possible. Now, they've been building this up for a long, long time. And I know they're going to say, oh, Republicans say bad things and the president was nasty to the Pope. And it's very, very different. No, I don't hear about Republicans talking about going out and killing Democrats. I don't know. And if they do, let me know who they are and I'll straighten them out, huh? Because we do a good job of straightening our people out. We throw them out. You take a long time to throw them out. I mean, you had that Swalwell son of a bitch there for years, and he was selling out to the Red Chinese. And then you finally got rid of him because that girl was such a damn good woman, was such a damn good witness. But let's get a flavor of how. I want you to think of this Cole Allen guy as a puppet. He doesn't know anything. And he's going to get filled. It's like an AI thing. They're going to fill him with ideas. Let's say I have no idea what he is or how he is. I do not think he's insane. I think the manifesto and the trip from California and the observations that he makes certainly shows someone that knew what he was doing, clearly knew the difference between right and wrong, which is a test for insanity. He even uses Christian doctrine to explain the difference between right and wrong. This may very well be a contrived statement to make it appear as if he's insane, which would certainly show that he isn't. But what it really is as if he's a puppet. There used to be Edgar Bergen and Charlie McCarthy. Edgar Bergen was the ventriloquist and Charlie McCarthy was the puppet. So this guy is Charlie McCarthy and Edgar Bergen is, Raskin, Pelosi, you pick it. Do we have a couple of the statements that would have filled the mind of this guy and given him these ideas about killing Trump and his people being a justified act?
This is a compilation. This is minutes of Democrats calling for violence against Republicans.
All of the country, and maybe there will be.
People need to start taking to the streets. This is a dictator.
You know, there needs to be unrest in the streets for as long as there's unrest in our lives.
Enemies of the state.
Show me where it says that protests are supposed to be polite and peaceful.
Do something about your dad's immigration practices, you feckless.
When they go low, we kick.
How do you resist the temptation to run up and wring her neck?
The biggest terror threat in this country is white men, most of them radicalized right up to the right.
I thought he should have punched him in the face. I said, even if you lost, he insulted your wife.
Yes.
He came down the escalator and called Mexicans rapists and murderers. He said, well, what do you think I should have done? I said, I think you should have punched him in the face and then gotten out of the race. You would have been a hero.
I'd like to punch him in the face. I said if we were in high school, I'd take him behind the gym and beat the hell out of him.
Punch some people in the face!
When was the last time an actor assassinated a president?
They're still going to have to go out and put a bullet in Donald Trump, and that's a fact.
Look as his character is stabbed to death.
Where is John Wilkes Booth when you need him?
I have thought an awful lot about blowing up the White House.
A Missouri state senator is under investigation by the Secret Service after saying she hopes President Trump is assassinated.
I will go and take Trump out tonight.
And if you see anybody from that cabinet in a restaurant, in a department store, at a gasoline station, you get out and you create a crowd. And you push back on them. And you tell them they're not welcome anymore, anywhere.
And sadly, the domestic enemies to our voting system and our honoring our Constitution are right at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue.
They're not going to stop before Election Day in November, and they're not going to stop after Election Day. And that should be, everyone should take note of that on both levels, that this isn't, they're not going to let up, and they should not.
If you think we're rallying now, you ain't seen nothing yet.
The president, in typical fashion, because the president is a good man, and he's a man who wants peace, and he wants decency, and he wants. He would have been a president that would have worked very effectively with the Democrat minority, majority, whichever it was at various times. Certainly as effectively as I did with the Democrats when I was mayor. But he didn't have Democrats like that. Instead, he had people. When I listen to what they're saying, my friends, those people are evil. Or as a young boy once said to me at the beginning of this whole process, when these people were protesting, they're bad people. Now, Republicans say things they shouldn't say, and they go overboard, but not like that. Not to that extent. It's hard. It would be hard to put together a montage like that of Republicans, and that's about 1/3 of what we can do. Ted, I want you, if you don't have it, I want you to dig out the one from maybe one of the most distasteful human beings in this country, Jimmy Kimmel.
Oh.
And I want you to play what he said. And before we say anything else about it, and I think Mrs. Trump did a great job of ruining him, tell me what the hell is funny about this. He's supposed to be a comedian. So if he wants to go after Trump, it should be hidden within comedy. Now, please, I wish we had like an interchange where we could just talk to each other, you and I, the audience. But I want you to tell me what's funny about this. Consider, we're talking about a man that came this close to death once and almost was assassinated a second time. So it's not a joke. It's not theoretical. There are strong forces out there that want to kill him, and they express it. Now, so he's saying this on national television as a joke.
Our First Lady Melania is here. Look at Melania, so beautiful. Mrs. Trump, you have a glow like an expectant widow.
You have a glow like it. So what was Kimmel was making believe that he was hosting the White House Correspondents' dinner, which I think he did once. I don't know. Probably only once, and about 4 people watched it. I mean, he bombed as usual. This is supposed to be a comedian. Is there something funny? Could you play it one more time, Ted? He went through the bother of putting up like a little stage, and
right.
He's also like an incompetent jackass.
Right. So let's find that again. Sorry, we lost that. Here it is. So here is
maybe
again, this was just a couple days before. We want to give people some context.
Yeah, it was about 4 or 5 days ago.
Our First Lady Melania is here. Look at Melania, so beautiful. Mrs. Trump, you have a glow like an expectant widow.
Well, both the president and the First Lady responded to it, and the First Lady said in no uncertain terms that this monster should be taken off the air. He really should. That is the kind of thing which you saw there, and what we showed you with Waters and Walters, or whatever the hell her name is, the crazy maniac who tells people to go out and kill. And I don't know if we didn't have Swalwell and Raskin on, but they're similar. Pelosi. They go directly suggested you kill him. And then they do another thing. They create an atmosphere where ill-intentioned people will take it up, like by constantly referring to him as a fascist and a Nazi. Now, here's the sickness of this. Most of the things, if not all of the things that they call him, really are projection. It's what they do. Like when they say he's depriving people of the First Amendment, that is exactly what they did for 4 years. I know, they did it to me. Biden, the First Amendment was gone, and the courts just went along with it.
Right.
Basically, he had the District of Columbia court operating like something out of the Third Reich with the January 6 people. He went ahead and told his attorney general, you're not arresting enough of them. So he went and arrested 1,000 people. I mean, people who were in Washington. And then they want to say that Pam Bondi politicized the Justice Department. There's nothing she could do that would have been anywhere near as excessive as what they did. It would take years to do what they did. No one has ever defiled and used the Justice Department the way they did. They used it the way a communist or Nazi government would use it, against 1,000 or more people, because those people supported Donald Trump. And this one, I don't have to go examine this one in some theoretical way. I lived through it. Now, the president tried really hard on Saturday night to say that this would be a unifying moment, that I saw some Democrats as we were leaving, and they were generally hostile before. And last night they were waving to me. So there was something very nice. I think it came together. The place was just coming together. We have to resolve our differences. I couldn't agree more with that. And I will not, and I don't think it's valuable to in any way concede that there's a moral equivalent between what they do and what we do. It's like corruption. Yeah, there are corrupt Republicans, but they are the exception. Corruption in the Democratic Party is systemic, particularly in the old Democrat parties in the cities like my own, where it's been virtually the rule for 175 years, and the courts are an abomination. Do we have crooks? Absolutely. But they're occasional. So I would certainly be willing to say that whatever it is that we do, that sometimes parodies or exaggerates or makes fun of their perversity, we'll get control of. If they get control of their urging people to commit murder, which is what they do. The president said that there was a tremendous coming together. I watched, and I was very impressed by that. Then he called Jonathan Karl to check in on their well-being and see how they were holding up after the violence. He wanted to carry on with the night's activities, but the people around, I assume the Secret Service and others, told them that would really be impossible. Now, I've been very critical of half of their security. I'm very supportive of the second half of their security. Strangely, from the moment the first gunshot went off, there's hardly a thing they didn't do that wasn't superb and really brave. Even if you can find a few mistakes, they would just be mistakes that any of us would make in carrying out a complex task. And I do think they gave him the right advice. It would have been impossible to go back into that room. First of all, you wouldn't have known whether or not they planted somebody in there. And given the complete lack of any kind of real perimeter security, there could have been anybody in that room. Or there could have been a guy upstairs positioned to blow it up if he came back in. The mere fact that that hotel was wide open and nobody checked it out. Yeah, you don't think there are terrorists who Biden let in the country by the barrel full that are capable of taking that building down? If you don't, you're not a very well-informed citizen. Trump said he's now hoping that the dinner will be held again in 30 days. It's been held at the Washington Hilton since 1968. I suggest if they're going to hold it at the Washington Hilton, they check everybody in the Washington Hilton before they let the president go in. Otherwise, how about we pick a place that's neutral, that we can close down and check out before we let anybody in. It reminds me on the night that Hinckley was arraigned in the U.S. District Court where Cole was just arraigned. Judge Webster and I, using the Marshal Service, and he was the head of the FBI, and the FBI cleaned out the building at 4 o'clock, required everybody to go home, even the judges. And then at 7 o'clock, he and I personally walked the building ourselves. It's called, you take no chances. My goodness, that's changed to you take every chance. So let's hope that there's a spark of goodness and decency and love, and there has to be in many of the Democrats, and they let up. I know there's the temptation of the 26 elections. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. It's just how evil it's all become. What do you think, Ted? Any chance? Or are they going to be worried now that this? I mean, the first thing that might occur to them is, oh my goodness, this might get them, get them through 26. Then we won't be able to impeach them.
That's right, Mayor.
Am I being too cynical, thinking that might be their reaction?
No, of course you're not being too cynical. And, we're already starting to see it.
Have they made any strange statements yet, or any good statements yet?
Right. Well, we're analyzing
they're all denying that they said anything bad in the past. They're lying. They're lying about that.
We got Jamie Raskin on.
Oh, Raskin, I never said anything, and Raskin was one of the worst.
Here's Jamie Raskin.
But okay, if he's going to say I never said anything, and he's not going to say anything in the future, I'm okay with that.
How long does this last?
I'm just wondering about the credibility of his statement.
Right.
Are they going to resist?
There's no way. They can't help themselves. They
see what they'll be thinking is we're gonna get him a Republican House and Senate if we don't keep this up. There'll be support and sympathy for him. So we got to continue to go after him. So Elisa Slotkin was the one who got the most attention. It really is pathetic. Elisa Slotkin is a useless senator from Michigan. And she wrote on social media right after the shooting that she's grateful the president and all the guests from last night's events are safe and no one was seriously injured. They love this statement. Political violence has no place in America. RNN Research shared her X post pointing out that she called the president an existential threat to democracy. And an existential threat to democracy, some people would think, well, violence is justified in stopping them from taking our democracy away from us.
Right.
Isn't that the way this happened?
Right. Absolutely, Mayor. Let me get some more light on my side here.
Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker echoed her point in his own statement.
I almost called him
and he told Trump to pay up.
I want to call him Fatso, but are we not doing the name calling anymore?
No, we're going to try not to. Failed 2024 vice presidential candidate. This will be really hard if I have to call him Tim Walz. The embattled outgoing governor of Minnesota put out a cookie cutter statement that political violence has become all too prevalent in America. Walz has routinely compared Trump and his administration to fascists and Nazis, saying, no one has ever been more dangerous to this country than Donald Trump. And he is a fascist to the core.
That's bizarre.
That doesn't encourage people to kill him?
Right. If you truly feel you have Adolf Hitler in your White House.
Now, the best one of all is, and again, this is tremendous restraint in not saying what I'd like to say. House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries praised law enforcement and proclaimed on X that violence and chaos must stop in America. 3 days before, he called for maximum warfare against Donald Trump. Well, damn it, he got it. Maximum warfare. The minority leader of the House of Representatives called for maximum warfare against a president that they have attempted to kill twice. And now a third time. And he wants maximum warfare against him. Yeah, I didn't mean, well, this guy thinks you meant it. That's what he wrote in his manifesto. You, Jeffries, created him. You could have written it for him. I can go on and on and on. Obama, who probably is the guy who started all this, certainly the corruption part. He said that Cole Allen's motives are unknown. What kind of lie is that? His motives are, he wrote them out. His motives are that he believes that Trump is a pedophile, a traitor, and a racist, and what the hell else? Where did he get those ideas, President Obama? Does he know Trump? Mm-hmm. Who gave him those ideas? Where did they come from? And what the hell is Trump being a traitor based on? And he's a pedophile. Didn't the key witness in the case say that he had nothing to do with it? That he was very good to everyone. She cast doubt on your friend Clinton, but not on him. Didn't he? Isn't it clear that he never went down to that island and Clinton went down there so often that they named a cabin after him? And he's a pedophile. Where's the proof of that? And you're gonna tell me that woman who claims that she was assaulted in the busiest department store in New York in the middle of the day by one of the most famous men in New York, and then she can't give us a day or a date or a time, because if she did, she'd be exposed as the liar she is. Because he probably was traveling when she made up this false charge. It's about as transparent a lie as you can find. So each of those requires his buying your interpretation. You're lying about him, that he's a rapist, a pedophile, and a traitor. Those are created by false testimony, paid for, in some cases, millions of dollars, by your political party. And then this operative, or whatever the hell he is, writes it down. You might as well have written it for him. And then you have the nerve to tell us you don't know his motive? I don't know. What is he wrote it out. You can't read? Obama, you can't read? We could go through all the security thing over and over again. The security for the alternative parties was much greater than the security.
Is that what you've been told?
Yeah, not told. I mean, the Woodley Park residents had a big party for the people who weren't going to go because they hate Trump, and they had to produce their all of their identity before they got in the building.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah, we're being told people didn't have to show anything to get into this party, just a ticket. And these tickets didn't have names on them. You could just walk in, flash the ticket, and walk right in.
I think Congressman Lawler has pointed out the following, which is, thank goodness somebody did this. There were no photo ID checks. There was no, we want photo identification. We didn't, no photo ID checks.
Right.
No verified list of attendees.
Which
I mean,
is
I don't
absurd.
know. When I was mayor, every event I went to, there's a big list that you're on the list. When I go to Mar-a-Lago, there's a big, your name is on a list.
Well, when people come here, we have a list downstairs.
There's no list.
How
There
is
was no
list?
list.
That's absurd. If that's
The
true,
building, the building otherwise, that whole building, except for the ballroom, was open to anybody. They could have come in with, 40 bombs, little bombs, and set them off in all the rooms. The metal detectors were right before you got into the ballroom. You got people like this Piker guy, right?
Right.
Defending the killing of a health executive by this Luigi first-degree murderer should be executed. He's good looking? I don't know. He's good looking. What the hell does that mean? So he appeared in court today. Cole Allen did. He has 3 counts: attempting to assassinate the president, transporting a firearm across state lines, and discharging a firearm during a crime of violence. Now, the first one carries life in prison, so that's the big one. So I assume that they are now fairly confident that it was his bullet that hit the agent, and not friendly fire. We played for you the video of Jimmy, anti-American, strange guy, Kimmel, huh?
Yeah.
Why do they keep him on?
I don't know, and I wonder if this.
You think they'll take him off now? Even David Axelrod said he'd be right to apologize. The First Lady wrote the following, which I think is all that should be said about it. Kimmel's hateful and violent rhetoric is intended to divide our country. His monologue against my family isn't comedy. His words are corrosive and deepens the political sickness within America. People like Kimmel shouldn't have the opportunity to enter our homes each evening to spread hatred. And that's what leads to murder. A coward, Kimmel hides behind ABC because he knows the networks will keep running cover to protect him. Enough is enough. It's time for ABC to take a stand. How many times will ABC's leadership enable Kimmel's atrocious behavior at the expense of our community? I don't know. What do you think, Ted? Look at Melania. She's so beautiful. Mrs. Trump, you have a glow like an expectant widow.
That pisses me off to no end. And this is last week, just days before. And for him to do that, I mean, we didn't not once did we make jokes. Obviously, we didn't wish on it, but we didn't even make jokes about this when it came to Biden or Obama. And man, do we have some grievances with those guys. But not once did it even cross our minds. And it's not funny. It's not funny.
I can't, I mean, maybe I'm missing something, but I can't think of anything that came close to suggesting that Biden should be killed. I mean, there were a lot of attacks on him for being senile. And I mean,
being a traitor to the country.
The guy was using an auto pen instead of his brain wasn't functioning. He gave up a military base 400 miles from China and got over $21 million from China. I mean, what are you supposed to do? Avoid that? But nobody suggested that he'd be killed for that. Go to jail for the rest of his life would have been okay. And nobody attempted to kill him. Which maybe that's the proof is in the pudding.
His ineffectiveness. Right? I think our enemies of America were just fine with President Otto Penn in office. They're probably trying to keep him.
So let's briefly sum up what's going on with the war, because something's going to happen there. Trump is not sending anybody there because Pakistan is too far to go, which has to mean there's no use in going, right? The 18-hour trip is too far to travel if Iran continues to refuse its nuclear demands. And Iran today once again reiterated the fact that they're not going to give up their nuclear enrichment of uranium. Now, here's a problem happening for Iran that everybody should be aware of. The president describes it as within 3 days, the Iranian oil could blow up. What that means is they don't have any place to store it anymore. And that could start to create explosions. It also will destroy their pipe systems. And it will take years to repair. And it could make this amount of oil that they have right now useless to them, so that they will be getting in revenue zero, nothing. Iran could be forced to shut down its oil fields as soon as Wednesday because of the U.S. naval blockade. Tehran is running out of storage space. Once the tanks are filled, Iran would have to shut down its oil fields, which risks long-term permanent damage to the fields. It'll lead to bankruptcy for Iran, and more than bankruptcy, starvation. And it will lead to much higher oil prices, not necessarily for us. So that's a consequence that's going to take place no matter what. No matter what. There's no question that the president has some tough choices to make about whether he resumes the bombing or not. But some of this could just happen. Now, Iran has made a new offer, but the new offer is the old offer. How is this a new offer? They've offered a fresh deal on the Strait of Hormuz. And that's if the U.S. ends its blockade, they'll open the Strait of Hormuz. But they'll make no concessions on the nuclear program. Isn't that the position they had 2 weeks ago? How do they describe this as this ridiculous? I don't even know who this is. Is this Al Jazeera or the effective one of the London? Iran makes new offer. I think I've seen this offer before. The Pakistani prime minister, who really is a Muslim and a friend of theirs up until now, had a very difficult conversation with the Iranian president and warning him that, constantly doing this could lead to the destruction of his country. And such action by the United States would not be unwarranted. Now, Putin, who I hope the president has changed his mind about, said Moscow would do everything it can to support Tehran. Can we remember that, please? Because they have killed 13 Americans, and Putin has helped them significantly. So I don't know, when we get all pissy with Ukraine because they're corrupt, I know they're corrupt, but I mean, a lot of countries are corrupt, but they're not like Russia or like Putin. And Arakci, I don't know, do we have that picture of him and Putin just about kissing? I hope it was proven to everyone that Iran has friends and allies such as Russia. We thank you for your firm position supporting us as we go ahead and kill Americans, Israelis, and Arabs all throughout the Middle East. Thank you, Putin. Even China is staying away. and we're still holding Zelensky back. Lindsey Graham has Lindsey Graham. Well, this is not news. Lindsey Graham is recommending bombing him, but so is Rudy Giuliani. So I can't make fun of Lindsey, right? Right.
Well, I mean, it seems to be the language that they understand. And the question is, Mayor, it seems like they're just playing the waiting game. And it seems that they think they can get through this within a few months with the midterm elections coming up. The Iranians seem to be doing what they've done for decades. And that's keep kicking the can down the road, wait out a president until,
I hope that comes to an end pretty quick. Scott Bessent has renewed sanctions, I think, in light of Russia's strong show of support for Iran. He's made it clear that economic fury, which is its Treasury Department's participation in the war, will impose maximum pressure on anyone doing business with Iran, including Russia. And I mean, any more pressure on Russia, and they're going to start eating themselves. The ambassador in the UN yesterday made a really great speech saying, Ambassador Mike Waltz, saying the strait does not belong to Iran. They didn't build it. They didn't build anything there. There's no canal there. It's not the Panama Canal. It's not the Suez Canal. It's international waterways. And they cannot control it as a bargaining chip. And the only reason we're doing a blockade is because they're using it as a bargaining chip. I do not know why Pope Leo the 14th has it in for the United States. He is an American, but I don't know why. And why now, all of a sudden, he has to change or suggest that we're going to change the 1400-year just war doctrine that begins with St. Augustine. That was very much expanded by St. Thomas Aquinas, the two greatest thinkers and theologians in the history of the church. He's relying on liberation theology, Francis from the Marxist South America, who was the Pope, but he's still a Marxist. I don't know what he is. The Pope says he does not listen to the prayers of those who wage war, but rejects them. So in other words, if our young men and women there are praying that they're not killed by the reign of terror that rapes women, that treats women like they're scum, that kills innocent people, if they pray for help from God, you're telling us, Pope, that God isn't listening to them? Did he tell you that? Did you have a conversation with God and God said he's not going to listen to the prayers of those young American men and women, 13 of whom have died there, who are just trying to bring freedom to the people of Iran? How about all those kids who died in Normandy that are laying on the beaches, who never came off those beaches? When they prayed to God for forgiveness and for support, what would have happened? They were carrying on a war, Ted. Yeah. According to Leo the 14th, he doesn't listen to the prayers of those who wage war, but rejects them, saying, even though you make many prayers, I will not listen. Your hands are full of blood. So those guys who were invading in Normandy, who were shooting so they wouldn't be shot at, when they got shot and they said, I want to do a final confession, God says, screw you. I don't know. Isn't that what he's saying? What about the Nazis? What about the Nazis?
surprised he would say.
How about the Nazis, Leo?
And doesn't God listen
You're
to
an
everyone?
American.
He listens to everybody's prayers.
Take a trip to Normandy. Look at all your fellow countrymen that had never had a life because they wanted to bring freedom to France. Look at the people who died with the communists so that the people in Poland could practice your religion.
Right.
Who would get killed for it? How about the ones in China that are getting killed for it now? Or the ones in Nigeria that you ignored so you could go to a Muslim service? There was a brave cardinal that had something to say about that, huh? Mm-hmm. But you had Bishop Stagliano. I'm Bishop Stagliano, saying just war was always a pragmatic compromise with history, never a core doctrine. This is Stagliano in place of St. Augustine of Hippo and St. Thomas Aquinas. This is Antonio Stagliano, who is now disagreeing with St. Augustine and Thomas Aquinas. Bishop James Master, the top doctrinal official of the U.S. Bishops' Conference, said, the Pope is upholding just war theory. Other U.S. bishops and cardinals have said just war theory remains valid. So I don't know what's going on, but I'd rather listen to Cardinal Sarah, Robert Sarah, who says that Islam is a danger to the West, urging the Pope not to worship in a Muslim mosque, which he did, and maybe pay some attention to the fact that they are slaughtering Christians there, with whom he didn't meet and made no attempt to defend them in any way. Now, they do disagree with him. Cardinal Sarah has stated that Islam is a government, not just a religion. And he says it has a very, very dangerous ideology focused very much around killing Jews and Christians. And that if we don't recognize that, we could be wiped out.
Right.
And other African prelates agree with him. They also go on, and of course, they're considerably more conservative than he is. They are against same-sex marriage. They are in favor of priestly celibacy, which Francis said he was going to consider. They are against liturgical changes so that you can have more like Haitian voodoo in the Mass.
Right.
And they are in favor of a Latin Mass, which Francis was against. And Pope Benedict was for. And Leo appears like he might be for it, but he seems like he's a little scared. Maybe he didn't come from the right part of Chicago if he gets scared, right?
Right.
So let's hope that gets straightened out. I would say the clock on Iran is ticking. And it is possible they'll have an economic explosion before they have a physical one. A physical one. Could we end with this cartoon? Because we are going to spend a lot more time on the Southern Poverty Law Center because it's just an example of any number of not-for-profits that are hardly not-for-profits. They're all for corruption. That's what they are. And they're the reason why we still have a certain level of poverty and ghettos in America, because the money intended to cure them, which would have cured them 4 times over, was stolen by these people and by the politicians who support them. Then you wonder why when they leave, they have 12, 15, 50, 100, 200 million. Right. Because they are thieves. That's why. So let's show them this. Let's show them this nice cartoon in the Post.
I I got to pull it up.
Oh, do you have it?
Yeah,
Well,
I had it
in
earlier.
any event, before
Hold it up.
Before I show it, I'm going to tell you all that you got to pray for, people of Iran, people of Israel, people of Ukraine. You've got to pray for the people of this country. People who get misled by the encouragement that Democrats give them to do murder, which is what they are doing now. It's well past the point where they don't understand what they're doing.
Right.
When Schumer said, to go after Kavanaugh and Gorsuch, and then they attempted to kill Kavanaugh, the guy should have been thrown out of the Senate.
Right.
This isn't happening by accident. And when ABC keeps Kimmel on and he talks about how Melania is going to be a widow, and like as a joke, like that would be a lot of fun if Melania becomes a widow and the president gets killed. Shouldn't that sick little bastard be taken off television?
Right. Well, here we have it, Mayor.
So we're going to end with this. Your contributions of $11 per month will help provide the racism the Southern Poverty Law Center so desperately needs to survive. Of course, they are taking something from T2T.org.
You're right.
And I have to do my commercial.
We do it. Good call.
I have to do our new wonderful. You guys are going to want.
Once you log in here.
You guys are going to want to do. You guys. What? So.
Good call right before the end.
Where do I have it here? So you're going to want to do. This is going to be a nice way for you to make a little extra money, and even if you're not interested in the money, to spread a little patriotism. We need patriotism, back, don't we?
This is a good man with this company. A very good man.
Did you know you can build an entire online business? It's called Sticker Mule Pro. It's only $9 a month, and it comes with everything you need to sell patriotic merchandise online. You get an e-commerce store. You get email marketing. You get SMS marketing. You get a customer service platform, and you get statistics that help you figure out how to improve and do better. So sign up today at stickermule.com/pro. That's stickermule.com/pro. Use code Rudy, R-U-D-Y, and you get 3 months for free. And you see if you can make a little money. After all, we're not communists. We like to make money, right?
And this is the sign that's over the Sticker Mule headquarters.
There you go. Vote for Trump. Oh, boy. Oh, boy.
You got in big trouble.
So now we are going to end. We always end with God bless America, but we're going to say a teeny little prayer of thanksgiving to God. Thank you, dear God, for looking down and saving the president and all the people with him on Saturday. It came very close again. And we all can't miss your hand in this. And we thank you for listening to our prayers. God bless America. Over to Doc. It's our purpose to bring to bear the principle of common sense and rational discussion to the issues of our day. America was created at a time of great turmoil, tremendous disagreements, anger, hatred. There was a book written in 1776 that guided much of the discipline of thinking that brought to us the discovery of our freedoms, of our God-given freedoms. It was Thomas Paine's Common Sense, written in 1776, one of the first American bestsellers, in which Thomas Paine explained, by rational principles, the reason why these small colonies felt the necessity to separate from the Kingdom of Great Britain and the King of England. He explained their inherent desire for liberty, for freedom, freedom of religion, freedom of speech, the ability to select the people who govern them. And he explained it in ways that were understandable to all the people, not just the elite. Because the desire for freedom is universal. The desire for freedom adheres in the human mind, and it is part of the human soul. This is exactly the time we should consult our history. Look at what we've done in the past and see if we can't use it to help us now. We understand that our founders created the greatest country in the history of the world, the greatest democracy, the freest country, a country that has taken more people out of poverty than any country ever. All of us are so fortunate to be Americans. But a great deal of the reason for America's constant ability to self-improve is because we're able to reason